As families gather around the tree and the soft glow of holiday lights fills our home, it's the perfect kind of night for stories, especially the ones that have been passed down for generations. Tonight, we're going to take a cozy step back in time to explore the rich and surprising history of Christmas, where our favorite traditions began and how they've evolved in the celebrations that we know today. Most of us know the biblical story at the heart of Christmas. It marks the birth of Jesus Christ, celebrated each year on December 25th. But long before that story was told, people were already coming together to mark this time of the year. In Scandinavia, Norse communities celebrated Yule with feasts, fires, and evergreens. In ancient Rome, people marked Saturnalia, a lively week-long festival honoring Saturn, the god of agriculture, completed with gift-giving, public celebrations, and even a temporary break from social rules. To help us understand those deep historical roots, we spoke with Jacqueline Murray, a history professor at the University of Guelph.
The traditions have endured a very long time. Indeed, some of the Christmas traditions that are most common date back about 4,000 years to the Celts and the Gaels and the pre-Christian world. These people brought evergreens into their homes because they thought it signaled rebirth, and they brought holly and put holly wreaths on their doors for safety's sake, and because they didn't want the evil winter sprites to come into their house. So they hoped that if the holly didn't actually scare them away, they'd get caught on the holly and wouldn't come in. And mistletoe and was hung on the doorway again as protection, because this holiday comes at the time of the winter solstice, when the world is dark and it's scary. The sun has moved away, the days are shorter, so people are trying to protect themselves.
That's where one of Christmas's most iconic symbols enters the story, the tree. Long before the holiday itself, evergreens were seen as symbols of life and resilience during the deepest days of winter. Ancient people decorated their homes with fir branches to ward off evil spirits and bring hope. By the 1500s, German families began bringing full trees indoors, decorating them with apples, nuts, and candles. These so-called paradise trees blend ancient traditions with Christian symbol and help the Christmas tree spread across Europe and eventually North America.
Well, the Christmas tree evolves directly out of the practice of bringing in the green evergreen boughs, and gradually it's bringing in a full tree. And the first Christmas tree that we absolutely know of was in the 1500s, 1539, in the Cathedral of Strasbourg. They brought in a tree specifically at Christmas to have there. And it's thought that the Protestant reformer, Martin Luther, was the first one to put candles on the tree. Prior to that and subsequent to that, trees were decorated with fruit and nuts and things like that. Now, what may be of interest is the first Christmas tree in North America was in fact in Canada. It was in 1771. There were some German Hessian soldiers that were working for the British. They were basically mercenaries to guard British North America against the American revolutionaries. And we know that they had a Christmas party and celebrated Christmas with a tree indoors.
But the Christmas tree wasn't always universally accepted.
In particular, the Protestant reformers in the 16th century wanted to suppress all of this jollity on this holy holiday. And some people think that that is maybe why there's such raucous celebration on New Year's Day, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, that it wasn't actually that big holiday in the past. And the Protestants were very, very strict about this and tried to make it a more somber holiday. But ultimately, people wanted to keep Christmas, and it just kept creeping in. And after the whole conflict between Protestants and Catholics, settled down and there was more coexistence. Even Protestants and Calvinists had Christmas trees again.
Then came the lights. Before electricity, families placed candles on tree branches, a beautiful but incredibly dangerous tradition.
In the 16th century, they started putting candles on trees. But of course, while they looked wonderful, they would be dangerous and people had to keep watch. And as Christmas trees became more common in homes, particularly in the 19th century, there was someone that would have to look after the flames, and someone would have to clean up the wax. And, in a sense, they were beautiful but a nuisance.
Everything changed in the late 19th century. In 1882, Thomas Edison's associate, Edward Johnson, introduced the first string of electric Christmas lights, placing them on a rotating tree in his New York home.
The use of light actually goes back very far because in the Middle Ages, people would put a lighted candle in the window. That was in part to guide travelers through the darkness if they needed safety. But the burning fires that you think of on the Shetland Isles, these are the same things, burning fires everywhere. People wanted light. And so Christmas lights, they go back to those fires, they go back to the candle in the window, and they go back to the Yule log, which would burn all day in the fireplace or for a week, to encourage the sun to come back. After the invention of the light bulb, it was about 2 years later that one of the executives of the Edison firm decorated his tree in New York City with light bulbs, and he put it on a rotating platform in front of the window so everyone could see it. And within 2 years of that, Christmas lights were being advertised widely.
And then there's gift giving, a tradition that many of us look forward to all year. While today's presents may come wrapped in shiny paper and bows, the idea of exchanging gifts during the holidays dates back thousands of years.
There's a couple of ancient sources for the gift giving. One is based in the Nativity story, where the wise men come from the east and they give gifts to the baby in the manger: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And the other is from St. Nicholas, who was a 4th century saint. And one of the legends surrounding St. Nicholas is that he was very generous, and he gave sacks of gold. He threw into a window or down the chimney 3 sacks of gold into the house of a poor family that had 3 daughters who would be unable to marry because they had no dowry. And so he is a gift giver. And so thirdly, in the Middle Ages, this was a time when the lord or the boss would distribute some largesse to the people that worked for him. And so it develops over time. But then the big hurrah for gift giving is the development of the Santa Claus story in A Visit by St. Nicholas, which we all now know as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And the idea of Santa Claus running from house to house, giving gifts to everyone, going from house to house on his reindeer. And that, again, exploded from the middle of the 19th century. It was about 1842, I think, that the story was first published. And a lot of the traditions around Santa Claus and gift giving come from the mid-19th century and from the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas story.
Today, Christmas is celebrated by billions, some observing its religious significance and others embracing its cultural traditions. In Japan, dating back to the 1970s, a wildly successful advertising campaign suggested that fried chicken was the perfect Christmas dinner. The idea caught on, and today families in Japan often pre-order their KFC meals weeks in advance to avoid long lines. And that's just one example, as the holiday reflects centuries of history woven together.
This hybridization is what you would expect from something that incorporates ideas from many cultures across so many centuries. It's going to change and evolve and expand. It's an elastic holiday that can be as inclusive and as observed in so many ways.
So whether your Christmas includes a tree covered in lights, candy canes on the branches, carefully wrapped gifts, or even a bucket of fried chicken, it's all part of a tradition shaped by centuries of history. Christmas has always been about light in the darkness, togetherness, and finding meaning in the moments that we share. And as those lights glow a little brighter this holiday season, they remind us that while traditions may change, the spirit behind them continues to bring people together. Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.